And you're listening to the radio voice of Kutztown University, KUR, one of our feature interviews. I'm joined by Flora Cardoni and Kelly Flanigan. They are part of the nonprofit group Penn Environment. Flora and Kelly, welcome.
Thank you so much for having us, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure to have you here. Okay, so you contacted me to let me know about your organization and about a big day that you have planned. Let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, what is Penn Environment? Why don't you give a little background as to what Penn Environment is?
Yeah, Penn Environment is a statewide people-powered environmental advocacy nonprofit. So we work across the state of Pennsylvania to make sure that everyone has clean air to breathe and clean water to drink, protected public lands, and of course, a safe and livable climate. And a big part of that work is helping Pennsylvanians across the country, or across the state rather, and right here in Kutztown, make their voices heard to their elected officials for things like climate action.
So you folks are planning a large, big day on June 16th. It's your, I think you called it the Virtual Climate Action Lobby Day. And, now in these times with everything kind of going into a virtual environment with the pandemic, that's, doing these kind of things virtually is kind of a big thing now. So talk a little bit about that, how you're going to adapt to the virtual environment and what you hope to get done on that day. So tell us everything you want to tell us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So every year we bring hundreds of Pennsylvanians to state capitol in Harrisburg to meet directly with their legislators all together on one day, have a big rally, and really show the Capitol that Pennsylvanians want action on climate change. And so obviously this year it did not make any sense to bring that many people together in Harrisburg. So we decided to move our Climate Action Lobby Day online. And so throughout the day on June 16th, we will be having over 100 meetings between constituents and their legislators via Zoom. We have, I think, over 900 people already RSVP'd for this day, so it's going to be even bigger than when we have it in person. We're really excited to be able to have, an even lower barrier to entry. It's so much easier for people to be able to just hop on a quick 30-minute Zoom call instead of heading out to Harrisburg. So we're really excited to be able to get even more people involved and engaged, especially even in this time of social distancing and not being able to get together in person.
Yeah, I can imagine that something like this would almost be kind of a mixed blessing because you kind of maybe miss being able to be somewhere in person, but the fact that it's online, anybody has no excuse not to check in on this sometime during the day, right?
Exactly. So usually, we still bring hundreds of people to the state capitol and folks wake up, at 6 a.m. and get on buses and go to Harrisburg. And I'm a little sad we can't do it in person because it is pretty fun to be able to take over the capitol in matching t-shirts and fill, the halls of Harrisburg with real Pennsylvanians calling for climate action and outnumbering the hundreds of fossil fuel lobbyists that are in the Capitol every day. But you're exactly right. Being able to do it virtually this year means that people don't need to travel from across the state. They can participate from their own home. So we're hoping that more people than ever can join us without that, barrier of travel.
Wonderful. So I'm going to open it up now to a little bit of a broader question, Kelly and Flora. What are some of the big issues that you're hoping to, I mean, that's a very broad question. What are some of the big issues that you folks are looking to address? I'm thinking of things maybe like maybe local issues here in Pennsylvania, like fracking, maybe national issues. Talk a little bit about what you're going to address.
Absolutely. I'll get started and then Kelly can add more.
Sure.
We know that the climate crisis is and will impact everyone across the Commonwealth and world. And we really need real transformative action this decade to get us off of fossil fuels and transition to a renewable energy future to make sure that we and future generations have a livable climate to call home. So the main thing that we wanted to focus on with this Climate Action Lobby Day is the urgent issue of climate change and to show our elected officials that the majority of Pennsylvanians want real climate action and want a renewable energy future. There are several things that go into that. Of course, at Penn Environment, we're opposed to fracking for so many reasons, the destruction of our environment, the public health issues, and the contributions to climate change. So of course, that's part of it, but we really need to get off of all fossil fuels and move towards a clean energy future. So that's a big focus. At Penn Environment, we helped to write and introduce a bill that would actually transition the Commonwealth to 100% renewable energy by 2050. And we have, thanks to, past lobby days and thanks to people across the state making their voices heard, calling and writing to their elected officials, attending events, writing to the paper, we now have 100 co-sponsors of that bill in Harrisburg. 40% of the legislature are on board. So we're hoping that this day can embolden them to be even louder with their calls for climate action and bring more folks on board with this real solution that we need. But we'll also be talking about other climate solutions that day that the state can take on, whether that's improving electric vehicle infrastructure or supporting the governor in joining the regional greenhouse gas emissions to start ratcheting down pollution from power plants.
Excellent. Kelly, did you want to add anything to that, or that sum it up pretty good?
I think she did a great job of summing it up. There's so many different things we could talk about when it comes to climate action, and there's so many great initiatives out there to expand renewable energy and really take action on climate change. So we had to pick just a few things to focus on for this day. So that's why those 3 specific things that Flora mentioned are what we're focusing on. But we're, of course, also very supportive of things that expand solar energy, and other access to clean energy. But we're just, for this lobby day, focusing on getting more support for our 100% renewable energy bill, getting more support for the governor joining the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, or commonly known as RGGI, and then getting this electric vehicle legislation across the finish line.
Right. This is, of course, a big election year, as I probably don't have to tell you. And are you guys going to touch into that whole world as well? I mean, that sometimes gets to be a little dicey with some people, but are you going to talk about that at all?
That's a great question. Of course, elections are very important because the more environmentally conscious and, supportive of climate action folks we have in government, the better, who can help us move forward on this stuff. This lobby day is focused on citizen advocacy to our elected officials that are already in office. So we'll be talking about things they can do the rest of this session and beyond to move forward real climate action in the state. So we won't be focusing on the election during this event. Penn Environment does do some election work on a separate side of our work, whether that's knocking on doors or calling voters. So we likely will be involved in that for some environmentally friendly candidates this fall. But this lobby day is focused just on existing elected officials and really focused on helping Pennsylvanians make their voices heard to those elected officials about the issues they care about.
Cool. So now let's break down the actual day on June 16th, get into more of a general idea. So how can people participate in this day?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways that we'll have available for people to participate throughout the day. The first thing is, of course, our meetings with our elected officials. So we've been having people from all across the state over the past couple of months register to join us on this day. So based on where people live in the state, we've been setting up meetings directly with their state representative and state senator to sit down for 30 minutes and talk about these issues. So that's the big kind of the meat of the day, the big part that we're really excited about. But then we also want to make sure that we're keeping people engaged and make it really a full lobby day versus just, 1 or 2 lobby meetings. So we've set up a Zoom port that we'll have on all day long from 8:30 in the morning till 6:30 in the evening that people can log on to throughout the day and join us to take some of these different actions. So we're starting off the day with a kickoff call, remind people why we're doing what we're doing, and just kind of get everyone amped and excited to join us for the day. Then we'll have a big rally at 12:15 in the afternoon. People can join us either through that Zoom port, or we're going to stream that on Facebook Live, facebook.com/Penn Environment. So people are definitely welcome to join us that way. And then we'll have some educational webinars throughout the afternoon. We'll have some solar providers on hand to answer your questions about going solar. We'll have some electric vehicle owners and advocates talking about how to, what the ins and outs of owning an EV. We'll also have one of our volunteers who has a LEED certified home give a a tour of his energy efficient home. Flora, let me know if I'm missing anything, but basically we have all of these really great webinars that you can just kind of jump into the Zoom all day and get involved in climate action when you're not in meetings with your legislators.
Absolutely. And then if you're looking to get involved yourself in the meeting part of the day, it is not too late to sign up. So you can find our Climate Action Lobby Day Facebook event if you go to facebook.com/Penn Environment, or you can sign up directly at bit.ly, so bit.ly/Climate Lobby Day 2020, with Climate Lobby Day all starting with a capital letter. And of course, it's not just about this one lobby day. We are always looking for volunteers and activists and everyday Pennsylvanians to get involved with our work all year long. So we have volunteer opportunities, advocacy opportunities, and are really happy to do trainings and get people comfortable talking to their elected officials and their friends and family about these issues.
Okay, yeah, you kind of answered one of my final questions, was how people can be involved year round, and you already gave that answer, so that's very good.
Yeah, well, I can actually add a little more.
Sure, go for it, please.
My whole job is trying to help people get more involved in the calls for climate action. And so I just want to really stress that the most important thing that people can do is make your voice heard. Not enough people call or write to their elected officials, and it really is up to us and enough of us making our voice heard to show our elected officials what we care about, to encourage them to take action. There's a lot of people that care about climate change but might not realize that their constituents do, or who are not sure it's a priority. So the more of us that can make our voices heard about these things, the more likely it is we can push the politics forward and get them to take real action and make fighting climate change a priority. So for those of you listening at home, the biggest thing I can say is to call and write to your elected officials more often, tag them on social media, let them know the personal reasons that you care about climate change and want to see a clean energy future. And the more of us that do that, the more likely it is we can see real action.
Awesome. So do you want to give the links once again? I mean, we'll also post it on our social media as well with the podcast, but do you want to give the address to, participate on the 16th again?
Yep. So our Facebook page, where you can find more information about all of this, as well as where we'll be live streaming the rally and some of the other events throughout the day, is facebook.com/Penn Environment, PENN Environment, like Pennsylvania. So that is our Facebook page. And then you can sign up for the lobby day itself at bit.ly/Climate Lobby Day 2020. And the C, L, and D in Climate Lobby Day are capitalized.
Okay. And I'll make sure to write that down and put that in with the podcast as well on our social media when we put it up there. So, all right. Any final thoughts, Kelly and Flora, that you want to get out there?
I think when in doubt, just talk to everyone you know about the need to tackle climate change, your friends, your family, your social media followers. The more of us that have this conversation, the more we can move people forward. We hope you can all join us for this virtual Climate Action Lobby Day as one way to make your voice heard. But I encourage everyone to, be lifelong advocates for these issues so we can really see the change we need to see.
All right. Thank you so much, Flora and Kelly from Penn Environment. Once again, facebook.com/Penn Environment. And I want to thank you for joining me, and we'll wish you a lot of luck on the 16th.
Thank you so much, Mike.